doubting. I don't believe he can, Master. Even if their stories are exact and unchanged, it is likely they were first told thousands of years after these events occurred. This has become very much like a creation myth for his people. There is no date. It simply was. Translation. Translation. He only understood. Cautionary. Remember my warning, Master. They may consider certain questions to be speaking the words in error, a blasphemy they would attempt to kill you for. Obedient. I will ask whatever you wish, Master. Translation. Translation. His arrogant people touched the stars, and this sin drew the attention of the builders. The builders did not touch the stars, they lashed them to millstones. Translation. Great demons of metal stripped the world of its riches until all that was left was the green of the ground. The great cities were lifted away. Translation. Those that had used the wealth were taken along with it. Transgressors abducted to serve past the sky, seeding the stars with penitent, adaptable slaves. Cautionary. Remember my warning, Master. Clarification. I believe they were occupied by this technologically superior species for a substantial period. Stripping an entire planet of usable resources would have taken generations. Translation. Translation. He has no number. He claims that those that were taken were examples of the worst of his kind, arrogant and uncaring of the land. Doubtful. Master, this is just another distortion due to their demonization of the builders. It's like claiming an aspect of his people were taken, not actual individuals. Clearly, history has colored his view. Of course, only the inferior meatbags were taken. The remaining were his ancestors, after all. It must have been special. Obvious. The same reason Zerka Corporation is attempting it now. Expanding empires need tremendous amounts of resources. Cautionary. Remember my warning. Obedient. Translation. Translation. There came a time when the builders were also judged for their crimes. After generations, a plague weakened them, and the time of the Great War began. Translation. The builders faltered, and his people realized why they had been punished, so that they understood the crime, and would now strike down the greater offender. Translation. They worked chaos in the machines, so they destroyed themselves. The builders fought back, laying waste to the green that had been misused with fire from above. Translation. Soil became glass, grinding to sand, but the fight was long planned, and his people were safe. Deep in cave homes carved from valley wall, they were free. Cautionary. Remember my warning, Master. They may consider certain questions to be speaking the words in error, a blasphemy they would attempt to kill you for. Clarification. The occupying force suffered some sort of species-wide plague that lowered their numbers over time. His people used this extended weakness to sabotage their larger ships. The response of the builders appears to have been to lay waste to the entire surface of Tatooine. doubting. They didn't, Master. They struck a blow, but the storyteller only believes they won because the builders were gone when they emerged from their caves. That does not mean they defeated anyone. It seems clear that the builders simply sterilized their problem and left. The enemy judged them not worthy to fight. Clarification. I may not have properly conveyed how long they fought with the builders. Given time, any number of armaments could destroy a world. Hypothesis. Perhaps this is another distortion. Their climate may have begun to fail due to their unrestrained development even before the builders arrived. Looking back thousands of years later, such a shift could easily be attributed to the much-hated conquerors. Hypothesis. If his people were moving away from technology for a long time under the builders, they may have had extensive cave systems that could grant shelter. I would also suggest that, given the evidence of the massive shift in the nature of their society, most of them did not survive. Obedient. I will act. Translation. Editing, if I may, Master. This section of his tale details several millennia of the Long Walk, their nomadic wanderings as they accept their identity in a desert world. Rather than strain my circuits on his dialect, might we just assume there was much fighting over who has the biggest bantha and move on to more recent things? Resignation. Very well, Master. Translation. The tribes spread far, distant from each other, but all the sand people and all cherished the land that remained. The sand would not be misused. Translation. Then machines fell from the stars again, outsiders like you that brazenly walked apart from the land. And greater still was the insult to come. Translation. These outsiders reminded them of their past transgression, of the time when they too walked apart from land. The outsiders, your kind, looked like their ancient abducted. Translation. So it is to the current sons that the Sand People hate all outsiders and give them no footing. You come again, time after time, adaptable slaves to the machine. Cautionary. Remember. Impatience. Master, I refuse to inconvenience you with this. He spouted names of petty tribal fights in deserts so distant they might as well be across the galaxy. Really, Master, I'm sure it's important to him, but it has nothing of value that you could ever put to use. Agreement. Of course, Master. Just no more of their inane wandering. Obedient. I will act. Translation. Translation. The tribes spread far, distant from each other, but all the Sand People and all cherished the land that remained. The sand would not be misused. Translation. Then machines fell from the stars again, outsiders like you that brazenly walked apart from the land. And greater still was the insult to come. Translation. These outsiders reminded them of their past transgression, of the time when they too walked apart from land. The outsiders, your kind, looked like their ancient abducted. Translation. So it is to the current sons that the Sand People hate all outsiders and give them no footing. You come again, time after time, adaptable slaves to the machine. Editing. The last 1,000 years are full of conflicts with different groups of attempted planetary settlers, all of whom are poorly described, long dead, and likely untraceable. I believe I have truncated it down to the usable bits in what was already said. I hope it is enough, Master. Translation. Translation. We are free to leave.
Lucu apa yang kak? Sembilan.
Greetings again from the offices of Zerga Corporation. Is this about bounties or something else? I see that, but do you have the all-important chieftains, Gaffy? That was what you agreed to get for us. Well, that is a very big headache that you've removed. I'm sure there are still sand people out there, but they'll be quieter now. I think I'll give you a bonus for this. You've more than lived up to your side of the bargain. Zerga Corporation thanks you. I'm sure. Zerga Corporation thanks you again.
Just the person I was hoping to see.
Save it, Griff. I'm not talking to you. I want no part of whatever you're involved in.
Okay, sis, I see you're still mad. Fair enough. I don't think you can help me with this anyway. It's more of a job for your friend here. As you may know, tack glands can be refined to a very potent powder. It's the primary ingredient in Teresian ale. That's what makes it so strong. Of course, now that Taris is pretty much wiped from the face of the map, Teresian ale has become somewhat scarce and very, very valuable. Luckily, I know the secret recipe. I know this guy. He's with the Exchange. Now, if I give him a small sample of Teresian ale, he says he can synthesize it and reproduce it in mass quantities. Problem is, I need one of those tack glands to make the first batch, and now that Taris is a smoking ruin, the only place to find tack is on Kashyyyk. If you can get your hands on one of those tack glands, I'll make it worth your while.
Griff, are you blind? Can't you see you're talking to a Jedi? We're out here trying to save the galaxy. We can't waste time on this.
Please, you have to help me. I promised this guy from the Exchange a sample of Teresian ale. If I don't come through for him, he's gonna break my legs. Or worse. Come on, Mission. I'm your brother. I'm family. You can't turn your back on me.
Forget it, Griff. I'm not falling for that line again. You'll have to find your own way out of this mess.
You bring me a single tack gland, and you not only save my life, but you get a piece of this great business opportunity. I mean, you can't pass this up. Think about it, and you'll see I'm right.